Welcome to Red Rank Podcast, home of the smoothest voice on Twitch. I'm your host, The Crow Show. Friendly reminder, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, among others. And where you can, please leave a rating and review. It'll help me out a lot. It'll help us break that algorithm. I'd really, really appreciate that. Welcome in. I'm very proud to present a conversation I had with my very good friend Picklesoup. He's the guy who introduced me to Dead by Daylight and encouraged me to play this game. We had a very fun talk. We talked for about an hour, talked about how he got into the game, how he hooked me into the game, how he got into streaming, how he found me. We basically tell our origin stories. We share stories of fun moments we've had in Dead by Daylight. We kind of talked about it all. Talked about why we love content creation and why we love this freaking game, Dead by Daylight. So I'd really love it if you stick around. Have a listen. It's a really good time. Enjoy. So as I mentioned at the start of the show, this is my second interview on Red Reg Podcast. I'm very happy to interview my friend Picklesoup, the guy who got me into Dead by Daylight and is responsible in some way for everything I do in this.
I apologize for that.
In this world. Yeah, Pickle, how's it going, man?
It's going good.
Right on, dude. So what got you into Dead by Daylight? Wait, before we jump into it,
yeah,
tell us about yourself. Like, give us the pickle sales pitch. Yeah, what's the pickle experience?
Well, I'm technically, I don't really like to put labels on it, but I'm a part-time Twitch streamer, and I also work part-time in retail. So balancing those two can be a little difficult, but I very much enjoy video editing and Twitch streaming and stuff like that. So I'm hoping going forward, I'll be able to lean into content creation more because I really do love making it.
Mm-hmm.
And
what do you like the most about content creation?
I think, so I love the interaction part for Twitch. Is just getting to meet people and like getting personal with others is really there. I try explaining Twitch to other people who have never used Twitch before, and it's really difficult to explain. You just can't, like, oh yeah, people watch you play games and you talk to them and you get to know them, and like, oh okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
So I really like that part, the interaction, the community, and like there's so many incredible people that I've gotten to know through the years through Twitch. And for the YouTube side of things, I really like polishing up stuff and the edits and trying to, like, there's certain things you can do on YouTube that you can't do on Twitch. You can try like with overlays and stuff like that and stingers and whatnot. But in the end, like it's never going to be as polished, as clean, as perfectly timed as like a video can be.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about those both forms of content.
Right on. So we're here to talk about Dead by Daylight, and you, of course. So what got you into Dead by Daylight?
Man, so I first heard about the game a long time ago. When it first came out, I used to watch Rooster Teeth. They had a side channel called Let's Play. And at the time, there was some of the guys, they were playing Dead by Daylight. I had never heard of the game at the time. I've never been a big horror person. I used to play CSGO a lot. Like that one, let's see, I think I have almost 2,000 hours in CSGO, and I regret all of that time spent in it, but it showed me that I have a very competitive edge.
Right.
And so I saw them playing Kill Your Friends. I didn't know what that was at the time, but they're playing against each other, and it looked really fun. And I was like, I would love to play this with my friends, be a killer hunting them down, trying to run away from them. I've never seen anything like that. So I got the game. I got a few of my friends to get the game. We jumped into it. When I first started playing the game, I was a David because I was like, he looks like a total Chad. He is a good chunk of meat right there. Yeah. And also reading his perks, I was like, oh wow, his perks are like he does things for other people. He's super altruistic. That's very, very me.
Right.
We're going to live forever, especially with its current iteration. We're going to simp forever for real.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So that's when I first heard about the game. We started playing together, and then we dove into it knowing nothing about the game, not knowing how to loop, nothing, no one there to help us. And at the beginning of the game, we were pretty much megheads crouching around the map, trying to avoid the killer at all time. And as we started moving up to the ranks, once we hit green ranks, it was the constant phase camps and the constant noise. And that's when we started getting discouraged and we stopped playing for a while.
Okay.
Most of my friends lost interest, and I was off and on for a while. I would come back, there'd be some event, I'd stick around for the event, and then I go again because I just got bored of it. I didn't see a point to keep playing. I didn't see the competitive potential there. And then one day when I was in the middle of another hiatus for DVD, I ran across a Noob 3 video, and it was like making Killers DC, and I was like, you can do that? So I watched the video and I saw how proficient he was looping and how there's so much that goes into just the give and take of both the killers and survivors. You're both measuring each other up, both trying to read each other, predict each other, and work accordingly. And while you're doing this, there's also the whole time constraint of the game, right? Like the killer has to kill people fast enough before they do the gens. And on the other hand, the survivors have to finish the gens before they all die. Both teams are under a time constraint.
Right.
And so once I finally saw that, I was like, whoa, this game's awesome. I can learn it. Like there's a skill ceiling to it. That's when I really started playing hard. I came back as a Meg, started getting some perks, and eventually later I became a Kate main because I decided to get all perks on one survivor, and I didn't want to be a Meg anymore. And I've been playing Kate ever since.
Right on. So you didn't dabble in the Claudette main like the rest of us.
No, so after I started playing it a little bit more, like once I saw Noob 3, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get good at this game. I met a few friends in high school that played Dead by Daylight, and they're actually really good. They were the average red rank at the time. And they're like, oh yeah, you should run self-care, because at the time self-care had no penalty for healing yourself. It was just a regular speed heal yourself. And I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. Like I need self-care. So I would try to get the teachables, but I never really got them in time and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you start playing, or was that around 2017?
So yeah, when the game first came out, I think Let's Play made their video like maybe a month after it came out. And then I waited 2 months for it to go on sale, give or take. And that's when I first got the game. So I remember like, I remember looking at the Steam page and going, wait, is Huntress a DLC? Like, do I have to buy her? I was confused about that. And then I think a little bit later, I realized, no, she just came with the game and she was just added on. And I remember when Hag and Ace were new, and I was like, oh, wow, this Hag killer is crazy. And I bought it when I was playing with my friends because the whole jump scare aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was very early into the game's lifespan. And also Michael Myers, I remember when he came out too.
Wow. Do any of your friends still play from the early days?
Not really. One of my friends, Adam, you might have heard me mention his name. He can get bored of games over time. So like playing a competitive game, like say CSGO, Valorant, Dead by Daylight, where it's the same situation, doesn't really do it for him. And then I've gotten a few of my other friends to revisit the game and learn it a little bit, but I don't really know anyone in real life that plays it as hard as I do. So I've had to acquire people online to play with,
including me and Dino and everybody else. It's so funny because like the first time I played with you was, I think it was 2018, and I was really turned off because you were pretty high rank already and we were getting higher rank killers, and you're telling me all the perks, and I didn't understand the perks, and I got very frustrated, and I actually like uninstalled. I was like, I'm not playing this game. And
you know, I remember you were talking about it a few podcasts ago, and when I was listening, I was like, I actually remember saying all these perks, and I could hear in your voice you felt bad for asking over and over and over again, like, what does NOED mean? What does that do? And like, that's the abbreviation for this. And I'd be like, here, have this information.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about this game, and veterans like us, where we know all the perks, we know how to spot them. And I think for newcomers to the game, or people who don't play as much, it can be pretty intimidating to be like, wait, what does that do again? And there's even some perks where I forget what they do. So
I learned something today about how to spot a perk. I was running Metal Man today, and the killer came into stream afterwards, and he's like, oh yeah, I saw you had Metal Man. And I knew it was Metal Man because you didn't have to mend afterwards. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Like, that's how you tell between the difference between a Siptic or BT and Metal Man.
Oh, yeah.
So if they don't have to mend, you're like, oh, okay, Metal Man, we now know.
Yeah. It's crazy, like, the little nuances to this game. Like, I think you were in that round earlier this week when I was up against a Freddy, and I had adrenaline go off. All the gens got fixed, and I woke up. When adrenaline went off, I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that's a thing. That's cool."
I was thinking to myself, I was like, I thought he knew that. So it's just one of those things you don't mention, but it makes you think, like back when Freddy first came out, like how strong, like that was the time when adrenaline was almost run by every survivor because it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
It's still a great perk. It's just no one runs it.
Yeah, that's true. So what is it, do you think, that keeps you coming back to Dead by Daylight?
So I think at the point, it has to do a big factor with content creation. And
Mhm.
also I like pushing myself with either meme builds or things to work towards in a match. Like if I do a full game where I'm just running the most meta perks, board time, DS, spine chill resilience build, like they're fun builds on their own, but
Mhm.
you get bored of it eventually. That's why I constantly pull out Pebble, because you can use Pebble 400 different ways at every second, right? And like you can throw
Oh,
it in
yeah.
any direction. It'll completely change the pace of the match if the killer responds to it. Same with Flashbang. All these other perks, like they're not really game changing, but they're more of
Mhm.
just fun perks.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Any Means Necessary is one perk I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, and the way you use Any Means Necessary, like using it to fake a vault, is pretty hilarious. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I've seen you do that. You know, you run up to a pallet that's down, you hit the Any Means Necessary button, and the killer thinks you're about to vault, but you're just like,
Yeah. So
you're
once you,
getting ready to pick up a pallet.
yeah, when you get or killers that are slightly more experienced, you can start if you're at a medium vault and
Mhm.
it's like a 50-50 where you jump or not, you just tap that E button, it'll suck you into the animation and it looks like you're getting sucked into a vault animation.
Yeah.
And then you just keep running and they're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, and I think that's what I like to do too, like try to mix it up with different builds, because this game would just be so boring if all you ran like all the time was like Iron Will, Resilience, Dead Hard,
Yeah. And even going up
Fixated,
against those
whatever.
perks, like if you see the same thing over and over again, it gets stale.
It really does. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
when I'm playing killer and I see somebody throw a pebble, I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah, that's cool." Yeah.
I always get paranoid. I'm like, are they self-carrying over there, or is it an actual pebble?
Yeah.
I think another thing I enjoy about this game is now that I've learned the ins and outs, and it also feeds into the content creation, I really don't mind answering questions because I remember being there. It's like, oh, I don't know how to loop. I feel like a terrible teammate. The best thing I can do is just die for them, right?
Oh, totally.
But
Yeah.
so I definitely like helping people too in that sense. So that's what keeps them coming back. It's just the friends I've made along the way, the new ideas that I come up with, and helping others learn the game and hopefully enjoy it.
Oh, totally. I think that I don't want to say it's a responsibility of every Dead by Daylight content creator,
No.
but the world is certainly a better place when we run into people like you who just know all the perks and know all the strategies and can share that information willingly and with a lot of enthusiasm.
And I get like some of the bigger streamers as well and content creators. You can't answer every question and you can't
Yeah.
answer it all the time. And that makes sense, right? Like there might come a point one day where I have to pull in aughts and have a giant frequently asked questions page, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. So you were talking about like using Pebble and like Any Means Necessary. Are there any other survivor perks you think are kind of underused?
Underused or like slept
Like,
on?
yeah, slept on. Yeah, we
I
could say
think,
that.
I wish I had the page up to look at all the perks. I know empathy, I think, is
Yeah.
one perk that a lot of people sleep on. And a nice little perk combo is Kindred and Open-Handed. Open-Handed got
Oh,
reworked,
yeah.
but I think it's still very powerful.
Hmm.
What else do I think is slept on? I guess it depends what kind of playstyle you have. And that's the
Yeah.
best part about Dead by Daylight is, like, you might watch a YouTuber that runs Resilient Spine Chill all the time, and that works for them. But in the end, you might have more fun with Blast Mine and Flashbang, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, and for anybody listening, Kindred is the one where when you're on hook, everybody else sees the other auras, right?
Yeah.
And Open-Handed extends that range. And
By 8 meters.
yeah, it doesn't sound like much, but when you can see the aura for everybody, and it works when somebody else is on hook too, right? Like you see the aura of the other survivors.
Yeah, so how Kindred works is if a killer's near your hook, I think it's within 16 meters, and you're on the hook, the entire team can see the killer and see everyone else while you're on the hook. And then Open-Handed gives you another 8 meters. So if the killer's sort of staying around hook, your teammates can see that and be like, okay, I can finish this gen before going over there. And it also helps solo queues coordinate a save.
Oh, big time.
And then it also works for you when other people are on hook. You can watch the killer. Is he coming towards me? Is he going towards a teammate? Et cetera, et cetera. It also tells you, like, do they have barbecue? Or are they immediately going after someone? things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great information. What's your favorite survivor build?
Oh, I think my favorite build has 3 different perks, and then the 4th one's rotatable. So
Mhm.
Dead Hard, it's just I love that thing so much. Even when
Yeah.
it fails, it's still a funny meme. I can laugh
Died
at
hard.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Dead Hard. You got Iron Will. It was incredibly strong perk. And then I
Mhm.
like running We're Gonna Live Forever because part of me still likes doing that whole simping aspect and getting more blood points for it. Really makes up for it. And also
Oh,
the
yeah.
heal speed now that they added. And man, I
Oh,
say
yeah.
now, but it's been out for a while. The heal speed
Mhm.
when someone's downed it can be game changing sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 3rd perk or the 4th perk can be whatever I want.
Right on. Do you have a favorite and least favorite killer you like to face?
So favorites, I like anyone that's mobile. I find is usually very exciting.
Mhm.
So Billy, Blight, Nurse, Huntress. She's not mobile, but she's got that reach aspect.
Yeah.
People I don't like going up against, Deathslinger, because he can
Mhm.
just aim instantly. And if you're going up against a good Deathslinger who knows what they're doing, you don't really feel like you got outplayed. You're like, okay, he just quickscoped me.
Right.
I couldn't react to it, right?
Mhm.
Trickster, he just looks at you and you slowly die.
Yeah.
And Wraith, I absolutely hate Wraith because he's given too much stuff for free. Anything that's
Oh.
given to the killer easily, I just
Mhm.
don't like. It doesn't feel like they're working.
Yeah, like the fact that they can see your auras while they're cloaked. They can
Yeah, with the add-on.
break pallets super fast when they're cloaked. It's like,
Yeah, like you're denied so much information just for them hitting right click a little bit, and then when
mhm.
they finally get up to you and you have no warning to finally get to a vault or something to help yourself, they
Yeah.
get all their speed back by getting a
Mhm.
speed boost. So it feels like they have no detriment. They just get a bunch of stuff for free.
Oh, big time. Yeah. What do you switching to killer for a second? What do you have a killer main?
I very much enjoy Huntress.
Yeah.
I've lately noticed I enjoy a playstyle where I'm pressuring multiple people at once.
Mhm.
It's very map dependent. Like if you're indoors, not happening.
Right.
And if it's a super big map, very hard to pressure multiple people. But if I get to a point where there's multiple people in one section, I'll hit one with a hatchet or M1, and then as the other person's running away and they're not paying attention because they think I'm chasing them, I'll sometimes hit them with another hatchet, and it
Right.
just keeps it so the other person has to now go and heal, or I have more options down the road where, okay, there's more people injured and they're more around me, and I can start downing a lot of people at once.
Yeah.
So Huntress is one of the few killers that can do that.
Yeah.
But I just like playing killers that challenge myself. Nurse, it's hit or miss. I enjoy playing her, but there's days I get clapped, and then Blight's also very fun for me as well.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, I also love Huntress. She's fun and can snowball super fast. That's what I really love about her.
Oh yeah, she snowballs crazily.
What do you think of the state of Dead by Daylight right now in terms of balancing and like where it's at? Like, are you happy with where it's at? Do you want to see improvements? All of the above?
So I think overall, Dead by Daylight is pretty balanced. There's certain like small minor things I'd like to see. Like I'd like to see a lot of killers be revisited. Like even now, I still think Wraith is, again, he's given too much stuff for free.
Mhm.
Another thing, I don't think Spirit should have that passive phasing unless she brings an add-on. Then sure,
Right.
it's an add-on. She worked for it.
Mhm.
Just like little minor things here and there, and also some like small changes of perk, like Soul Survivor. It's pretty useless.
Yeah.
But the big thing that I think is a big talking point right now as well is just performance. They keep putting out more content, and I
Mhm.
appreciate the rate that they put out content. But at the same time, if you can't keep up and maintain the content, make sure it's stable for everyone,
Yeah.
then everyone suffers in the end, and it gets frustrating as well if you like lag out and you're like, okay, well now I'm going to get hit. Sweet.
Oh yeah.
But comparing it to like previous patches, like there's definitely been worse bugs before. There's definitely been moments where the performance was really bad. There's been like worse things in the past. So I think it's in a pretty good state right now, but the devs need to stay more on top of the performance issues.
Yeah. Asking a loaded question. Do you think that the game is killer sided or survivor sided?
I think it very much depends on So I would used to say survivor sided, and it can be if you have a very efficient team. But I think most people who play nowadays want to just have fun, and they go out of their way to like maybe be more altruistic, maybe be more fun. But I've noticed it's a lot easier for the killer to set the pace of a game if they stay near hooks, if they stay near like down people or go after them right away. Because then in order to save that person, unless they're an absolute god at looping, other people have to peel off the objective, and it sets the pace for the rest of the game. So I think because of that aspect, it's a little bit more killer sided, but it can be hit or miss. It depends on the killer, depends on the map, which is the beauty of the game. I definitely used to think it was super survivor sided because you could bring 4-man stacks, brand new parts, prove thyself, and there would be moments where you can't do anything. You felt hopeless as a killer, and depending on the rank that you're in, it can still feel that way.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've had a lot of talks about that, like the way survivors spawn. And I had one game with Trickster where it was Swamp, which is a pretty small map, but Trickster just can't pressure gens. So I timed it. It was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. 4 gens were gone.
Wow.
Like it was like, oh my god, that's like a speed run. That was insane. And I got into one chase and I downed one person in that time. And part of that was on me. Like, yeah, sure, I probably should have picked a different person to chase. But I put the person on a hook and bam, just boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Like, oh, thanks, game. What another hot topic going on in the Dead by Daylight community right now is stretch res. Now, I want to talk about this just like for anybody who's unaware. Stretch res is manipulating your resolution of your game on PC in a way that allows you to see over certain obstacles and around certain walls when you normally wouldn't be able to. What are your thoughts on stretch res?
So I think it's this blown out of proportion. Like the amount of advantage that it gives is very minimal. You can compare it with some loops. Like the thing is, it allows you to see over some loops that you might not be able to see. So let's say 1 out of every 40 loops you can see over where you wouldn't be able to. But the thing is, like good survivors, they can see the killer in other ways. Like they can look through certain cracks on certain objects, they can look around or position themselves better. So like you can still loop without it. And I don't know. I feel it's blown out of proportion. It's definitely not because it looks better. That's anyone who says that is full of it. But I don't think it's as terrible as people make it out to be. Like it's very minor changes. And anyone who really, really wants to sweat that hard, I say this a lot. This game, it's competitive driven, but it's not a competitive game. It's just not there yet. There's a lot of things, again, with the spawns. If people spawn one match, everyone's together, and then one match they spread like spaghetti on a plate and they're just everywhere across the map. It's that aspect on itself is just that already sets the pace of the game. Will you find all 4 of them on a gen, or will you have to go, okay, I'm chasing this person, pop, 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 3 gens are gone, and I didn't even get to react to it.
Yeah.
So just like it's not really a competitive game per se, but a lot of people like being competitive in it. And if you really want to go that hard on DVD and stretch your resolution and make it look like utter trash, sure, go for it, man. Like there's sometimes I go into people's streams and I'm like, oh, this man's got a crosshair on screen. He's got the filters so it looks like he's playing on a Rainbow Road, and everyone is big hip Jane or something. Like,
oh, totally, yeah. I've messed with filters in the past, and I used to before my original hard drive died and I had to redo everything. That was like minor adjustments to like the brightness and stuff. But when I go into some of these streams or see the TikToks and everything, like you said, it looks like some kind of weird painting of Dead by Daylight.
It's like a rave.
Yeah, it looks, to me, it's such an eyesore and it's so gross to look at that I'm like, okay, I'd just rather not watch this content.
I went up against a Blight before, and I could tell he was a very experienced Blight. And I was like, oh, wait, he's a Twitch streamer. And I went in there and I was watching because, maybe I'll learn a few things here or there. Yeah. And I could tell he was a great Blight. He knew a lot about the game, but he had the Rainbow Road stretch res, and I could not watch it. Like he goes on Ormont and my eyes are burning out of their retinas.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, like I even asked him, like, are you ever going to take off the filter? He's like, nah, I like the way it looks. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude.
Yeah, because it also like the way they change the filters, you can see traps better, you can see scratch
Yeah.
marks like infinitely better, and
And like,
I get it.
I think the scratches, they do need to add more so you can see it better. Because there's some
Yeah,
maps that I'm playing killer on and I can't because I'm partially colorblind, right? If I go on
right.
Ormont or the cornfield, Coldwind Farm,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I can't see scratch marks. And Coldwind's especially bad because it's even more like orangey, the ground, and it's got the terrain. It has
Oh
pieces of
yeah.
grass that are like painted on it that almost look the same shapes and patterns as scratch marks. So if
Oh
I lose line
totally.
of sight on someone, I'm like, okay, well, am I following scratches? I have to stare at the floor and like, okay, they're going this way.
Yeah, yeah. And heaven forbid they have like iron will or something like that, and
Oh,
you won't be able
yeah.
to hear them.
Yeah, if it's Iron Will and they're not bleeding, it's like, okay, well, later. GG, good chase.
GG. Yeah. Did you get a chance to play the Hellraiser chapter in the PTB?
Unfortunately, I was on vacation, and when I got back, most of the people I play with weren't on PTB anymore. So
Oh
I
yeah.
watched a lot of stuff. I
Hmm.
didn't see his vaulting animation. I heard that was pretty cool.
Oh, I've got some footage. I should upload that.
Yeah. I've seen like a lot of other animations, like the palette breaking one. I really like how they're getting creative with the animations, so good on the
Yeah.
animation team for that.
Oh yeah.
I think he probably will have the same trickster syndrome as before, where he's just too weak, and then I'm fearful that they'll make him too strong, and then it won't be fun to
Mhm.
verse. I like
Yeah.
thinking of a killer from both sides. Like Blight, he's fun on both sides. He's very mobile. The killer, it's a very high skill ceiling. And when you go up against him, if you know how to verse a blight, you're like, okay, it's a give and take. I'm trying to read him. Where is he going to dash to? Is he going to dash? Stuff like that.
Oh
It's
yeah.
usually fun on both sides.
Hmm.
But with, say, like Trickster, it might be fun to play. You're aiming, you're trying to work out the timings, get more daggers. When you're going up against him, you're like, I just can't do anything. I'm running. There's a wall here. Okay, he's around the wall. He's hitting me some more. Vault the
Hmm.
window. He hit me a little more. Okay, I'm going to vault this pallet. Yeah, okay, and now I'm dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think I like trying to balance killers from both sides, and I think this killer has a very cool mechanic and has a lot of
Hmm.
potential. But I'm worried which way they're going to take the killer and balancing him.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, because like right now, if you use his chain slowdown power, like
Yeah,
if you miss that chain, you're so screwed, and you miss so much. You lose so
yeah.
much momentum. So
And even if you do hit the chain, it's still almost not worth it. It's not worth the
yeah.
risk and the effort. It's just
Yeah.
walking up and hitting them.
Yeah. So I imagine what they'll probably do when they do release Hellraiser chapter, I think that's September 7th is when they're releasing it. What I'm hoping they'll do is they'll make that chain attack more rewarding, like make it harder to break away. They can do something for
Yeah,
now, between now and where Pinhead stands at the moment, because yeah, right now it's just not that great, but looks cool and has some really cool animations.
I'm also worried about the sheer amount of bugs that I saw in the PTB2 with the chains and everything.
Oh yeah,
With
people like
people would be
stuck
infinitely chained.
infinite.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so bad.
I'm mostly worried. Like, I hope they don't. I think a good thing they should try is, you know how he sort of blinks forward and then the portal releases a chain there. I
Yeah.
think if he resumed the chase where that portal landed, I think that would be a lot better. Because
Oh
then,
yeah.
like, if he misses his chain, he's not 30 meters back in
Oh
Africa.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
if he teleports with the portal and then shoots out a chain, that could be interesting and help him keep up
Hmm.
with people.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, a lot of people are saying the chains need to be better, but they need to be careful not to overbuff it, because then if you get hit by one like random AI chain and you're
Right.
slowed down for an hour, then it's like, okay, well, now I feel like I'm not being outplayed. I'm just suffering.
Yeah.
So I think this killer has potential, but I'm also
Hmm.
very worried of like an overbuff where it's like, oh, now I can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think it'll be really interesting to see, because when you grab the box, the infamous box, you open it and he can go directly to that person.
Yeah.
And you could do some really cool things, like you could run to the other side of the map, where maybe away from a 3 gen or something, and trick
Yeah.
him into going there. And
And there's a
yeah.
lot of times where I'm trying to think of how to take chases from someone who's on death hook. I'm like, okay, maybe
Hmm.
I'll miss a skill check on this generator he's been trying to defend, and it'll pull him
Yeah.
back. Or like maybe I'll jump to the locker, and it won't be too out of the way for him. But
Yeah.
the box thing could be a way as survivors can just be like, hey, come over here.
Yeah. I've noticed that when you're playing, you do a lot of kind of games within the game. Like you always want to get everybody out, which is amazing. You love to see that. And you also like to collect items. Do you want to talk about that a little
So
bit?
I when I first got my Kate the P3, I don't know why. It's just I hate bringing in items, and even when I first started the game, I didn't feel I was good enough at the game to bring in items because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna die and lose this item, whatever. It's not worth bringing in. And then I got
Right.
to the point where I'm good enough to bring in the items, and I don't really need it, and I don't want the crutch. And then it got to the point where, well, I could just, save this for down the road, and there's no problem in that. And I guess it sort of grew into an obsession where now I go out of my way to collect items from a match. And it's like, if there's like an event item or a limited time item, I will, no shame, I will item tech the person. And if they're not a cutie, I will keep that for myself, or maybe like their death hook, and I might be like, oh, sorry, I can't take this body block for you. Oh, that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Thanks for the item. And like I'll go out of my way to grab an item. Like, oh, where'd they die again? That's right, they're over here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like as soon as the trial starts, you'll look at the lobby and you'll see somebody with like an event flashlight, and you're
I'll be
like,
like, oh,
I'm going for that. I
yeah.
hope that David doesn't die. Wink, wink.
And there's other times where like it might be a close match, and say I'm injured with Iron Will on Death Hook, right? And the entire
Mm.
team will leave, and I'll be even with Amanda. She gets the most annoyed by this, but I'll go back into the map and I'll be like, okay, let's check Killer Shack basement. Okay,
Yeah,
that was a great toolbox. Oh, there's another chest right here. Well, I got time. Endgame collapse is going. Yeah, where's it gonna go? And there's been a
yeah.
few times where I've actually died because of it. And it's like, it's my own mistake. I went in for the item.
This man just died for a yellow flashlight or a brown med kit.
It's like, oh man, it gave me a toolbox. Oh, now I'm gonna die too. That's even worse.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, I very much enjoy collecting items. I'm hoping one day to just hit max item cap on Kate, but I hear it's not 999. I think it's like 9,999. So that's gonna take a long time.
That'll take a while.
Yeah.
You've also got the 4% unhook while me or Amanda are about to unhook you. How many times did you say you've gotten that? And do you want to tell the listeners about that scenario, what you do in that scenario?
A lot of times, just for the memes and whatnot, if someone's coming to save me and I know I can take an attempt escape and not go into the next stage. So if you go down to half your timer, you'll go into stage 2 and then you're one hook closer to death. But if, say, I just got hooked and someone's right there and the killer's walking away and I can see they're coming over, their body language tells me that, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to see if I can jump off the hook. It's a 4% chance. See what can happen. And it's especially fun to do with friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will say you miss every shot you don't take. So it may be 4%, but if you don't try, you're never going to jump. And it's been funny. There's been some times where I was mid jumping animation, and because the heal button is the same as the unhook button, someone will start healing me before I even hit the ground. That's how close Macobia was. And it just looks ridiculous. And with certain friends, they just freak out. They're like, no, why did you do that?
Yeah. I think you got me once or twice. I know you've gotten Amanda like a handful of times.
I've gotten her so many times. It must be a curse for her or something. It was funny. I actually did it to Steve a few nights ago. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to Kobe. And just right in front of the Steve, I just jumped in his face. And I was like, how we feeling, Steve?
That's hilarious. There's also a moment I want to talk about real quick when me, you, and Dino were playing. And I thought I had Deliverance. Now, for anybody listening, if you're not aware of Deliverance, if you get safe on hook, you can take yourself off hook, guaranteed. I thought I had Deliverance. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to Deliverance off the hook. But it turns out I didn't. But I jumped off the hook anyway, and there was only a 4% chance to do it. And Dino called me out. He's like, you don't have Deliverance, Crow. What are you talking about? And I'm running around. I'm like, oh, it must be some kind of bug because I'm not broken like I should be. And it was just such a funny moment.
I remember this happened during when the new HUD was released, and like the first iteration of the new HUD. I'm like, I hate this freaking HUD so much. It doesn't even tell me that you're broken, man. Like this is such a buggy thing. And then Dino was like, wait, you don't have Deliverance. I was like, wait, did he Kobe with Deliverance? Like, did he 4% over the Deliverance?
Yeah, that's what I
was
thought.
Trying to figure it out. And then I looked over, I think it was Dino that looked over at stream. He's like, you just don't have the perk.
Yeah.
So you just brainlessly jumped off the hook.
Yeah. Yeah, like a champ. That was that streamer luck we always talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any kind of memorable moments in your stream where you're
Oh
like,
man,
hell yeah, that's why I stream?
there's see, I try to do that with every game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it depends. Sometimes I'll go up against a killer where I'm like, I just don't want to reward this person. I'll play efficient and I'll leave. Right? If they're
Yeah.
kind of playing like a jerk and whatnot, I'll be like, okay, I too can play that game.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'll go out of my way just to go for content. Like end game collapse, it's about to run out. The killer's sort of like walking away from Hook now. They're giving me more slack. Bolton there. Now the timer's speeding up. We're both running for the exit gate. There is, I think the first thing that comes to mind is there was one time I was playing with, I think it was you and Seraph. And I had a cold at the time, so I got this through NVIDIA. But you had left, and I think you were at the exit gate, and I think you left before she hit you, so we didn't know if she had NOED. And then I got hit by NOED later, and I was like, shit, man, this is why I wanted people to take hits at the end, so I'd know.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever, I died. It is what it is. And I was looking at the exit gate that you had left out of, and completely off screen, Seraph is crossing the entire map to come get me. There's like almost no time left on the timer. And I actually have a video of this. I don't know if you have like a linking section if you're interested.
Oh, yeah.
But so he unhooks me, and then we're both running for the gate. I'm like, I don't think maybe we'll make it. And then like I ask him, he's a little bit ahead of me because he could have a running head start. And I'm like, do you have dead hard? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, don't block. And literally, like, it came down to he just barely crossed the threshold as the timer went out, and I just made it because of dead hard. Like, that's how close it was. If I didn't have dead hard, I would have died right in front of the threshold. Wow. And it's just one of those things where I was like, wow, like 1 in a million. You can't plan this stuff. For no reason, he came back to save me as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a movie, right? I always say that when I'm playing. I'm like, that was like a movie, dude.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. What else can we talk about? Well, let me just change gears real quick. Switching off DVD for a second. What kind of games did you grow up playing, and what systems did you own?
So growing up, this might sound weird. I didn't have any gaming things for a long time because my parents were like, no, we're not going to buy you a console. We're not going to buy you the PlayStation. We're not going to buy you a Nintendo, blah, blah, blah. Despite me really wanting to play. I would play at friends' house at sleepovers, and occasionally I'd play like flash games at school and stuff like that. And I remember in elementary school, like we'd have a little computer lab, and they were like the worst computers possible. I look at the computers that kids have nowadays. I'm like, you are so lucky. Like we would literally sometimes wait 10 minutes for the computer just to boot up in there. And like, just thinking about what I had, you guys probably didn't have computer labs, like full rooms with computers in it, right?
Well, we did, but they're like very potato. Playing really old games on it. Yeah.
I have like the old Mac, like red and blue, big giant screens or whatever. With
pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we had. And I remember like there'd sometimes be random games on there that we'd play. And I definitely knew I was someone who enjoyed games.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any gaming systems until I was, 12 or 14, somewhere around there, where I was finally able to have a DS, and I was like, oh yes. I remember the first game I got, Ben 10 Alien Force. Oh man, that was a good time. I would get Super Mario Bros for my sister, and I played a bunch of DS games. Later down the road, I got a PlayStation, and at the time, this is when I always, in middle school, I would walk home with my friend, and his house was on the way to mine, and I would go there. We'd play on the PlayStation for hours, and then I'd go home, and the sun's going down, and I'd be like 7 hours later, I'm going home finally. We have plenty of good memories. That's actually the origin story of my name happened at my friend's house.
Yeah, tell us about that. I know you've told it on stream, but let's hear it in podcast form.
So at the time, I didn't know. Actually, that's weird. I'll mention to you this later. At the time, I didn't know Picklesoup was a thing. And we were playing Call of Duty in a multiplayer match at one point, and just randomly out of nowhere, like we would always mess around and do random things. Out of nowhere, don't know why, I just said Picklesoup, and I got a kill. And I was like, huh, that's kind of funny. And we're on split screen, so we can see what we're doing, right? And then I said Picklesoup again, and I got another kill. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then my friend was like, what? That's unfair. said Picklesoup again, and I got another kill. And I was like, dude, that's
Nice.
crazy. There's just one of those 1 in a million things where just everything lined up. And then he said peanuts, and he died. And then we just burst out laughing. We're like on the floor in stitches.
Yeah.
And then later down the road, when I was making a YouTube channel, because growing up, it's like you grow up with PewDiePie and you're like, oh man, I want to be a YouTuber. You grow up with all these other gaming YouTubers, and it's like, I want to do content creation.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to think of a channel name for my YouTube, I'm like, man, I'm sitting there with a different friend. I'm like, what would be a good name? What would be a good name? And at the time, we were playing a lot of Minecraft. So I thought of a few
Right.
Minecraft names, but I was like, it's not really. This is like 16-year-old me going, that's not really brand friendly.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of branding things. And so we're trying to think of different names. And I was like, Picklesoup. I just thought of it out of nowhere. And
Oh, nice.
and my friend's like, yo, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, it's really awesome. And ever since then, it's my gamer tag, Picklesoup.
That's awesome. That's hilarious, man. Yeah, mine. I'll summarize mine real quick because I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast. But I used to play Magic the Gathering, and there was a card called Croesus the Purger, who's what is he? Blue, black, red, 3 colorless dragon, 6/6 dragon, who I had in one of my decks, and I loved playing that deck. So. And Croesus the Purger was my only creature in that deck. So while I was playing Counter-Strike, I called myself Croesus 21 because 21 is my favorite number. And then I aced a team in pistol rounds, and I was so hyped. I was like so like in the moment with my friends, and I was like, "Yeah, baby!" I was like, "I'm the Crow Show. I'm on 24/7." And then I just started calling myself the Crow Show after that. So it's really dumb, but it led to like a really cool name for streaming and podcasting stuff like that. So.
Yeah. So question for you. I don't think I've ever heard this. What got you to first start streaming?
My inspirations were Summit 1G and Kitty Plays because I was homesick for like about a month or something like that. And my brother for months was like, you got to check out Summit 1G. He's like our age and he's like really into gaming. He talks like us. He's way better at games than us. So
Yeah.
I started watching Summit, and then when I fell in love with Summit immediately, and then after his stream was over, I was like, oh, who should I watch? And he was playing PUBG at the time, and so I checked PUBG, and Kitty Plays was in there, and not suggested, they didn't have that,
Like one of the top ones.
Yeah, she was one of the top people playing PUBG, so I clicked Kitty Plays and immediately fell in love, and I think that's how our paths crossed too, right? Because you were.
Oh man, I can give you that side if you want. That side of the story.
Well, okay, let's talk about that right after this. But yeah, I immediately fell in love with Kitty Plays, so I was like bouncing between Summit and Kitty. And then when I recovered from the illness that I had, which wasn't serious or anything, it just had a long recovery time. I was like, I think I could do it. It's like my brother was telling me, he's like, I think you could do it. You got a cool voice and easy to talk to. People can get hooked in immediately, and so I actually started with God of War Remastered was the first game I streamed, and then I played the new God of War and had a lot of fun with that, and played like Overwatch and a whole bunch of different games.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were going to say something about
how our paths crossed was so at the time, this is when I think Fortnite got really big, and this is when I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to give Twitch a fair shake. I've been doing YouTube off and on, but I just don't really understand the format or what I need to do, and I just didn't really have the video editing skills. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try live streaming because I've been in other people's, like other friends' chats, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty fun just to be able to talk and be able to have a good time, and the live interaction was one thing that really intrigued me. So I remember I wanted to watch people and also stream on the side. And I remember one day it was Kitty. She was on the front page or something recommended. And I was never big into Fortnite, but I did want to learn it because a few friends at the time wanted to play it. And I was like, so I watched her for a bit. Super wholesome person, just absolutely incredible. But because of how big she was, I couldn't really actually get to know her. So I was like, okay, well, let me look at what is the stream team thing. And so I went to the Team Kitty thing, and I was looking through the directory, and I just randomly chose one of the people who were alive, who was a little door. And I think at the
Mhm.
time she had maybe, I don't know, 17 people in there, give or take, maybe less, maybe more. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But you had enough people in there where it was a little bit of community. I just came in there. I was like, oh, hey, how's it going? Trying
Mhm.
just being nice and shy and everything. And then eventually, like, I just kept coming back because there was
Yeah.
actual interaction there,
Yeah.
to the point where I just became a regular. And then one
Mhm.
day she rated you, and I don't even
Yeah.
think I had seen you in chat at that point. I think we were just on different schedules.
Yeah.
And she rated you. And
Mhm.
actually that night, it blows my mind just thinking how I meet some people and get to know them. But that night I was thinking like, oh, okay, it's a raid. And most times you just tend to lead raids. I got other things I need to do.
Kind of tune out. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so I was thinking to myself, I'll just leave. And then like I noticed that it was kind of a quiet raid, and I noticed
Mhm.
it was a quieter stream for you. And I was like, I really feel that.
Oh, no way.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay just for this guy. I think I stayed up like 3 or 4 in the morning or something, and it was just you and me chatting in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Actually, I like this guy. I'm gonna follow.
That's hilarious.
But,
that was like day one, pretty much.
Man. Yeah, and like she rated you, and I didn't know how long you'd be streaming for. I think it might have been like a month into you streaming or something.
Yeah.
I remember asking, but I was like, okay, cool. And then I'd occasionally pop back in. Then I became a little bit more frequent. And then we started to get to know each other. And then that's when I started pulling you into Dead by Daylight, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
It took a little bit for it to sink in, but we got you in the end.
Yeah, that's right. So you must have known when you first met Kiara, that was probably during her wholesome days, right?
Oh, man. I think that was her transitioning from...
Oh, was it?
Like, she was wholesome, but she was loud, you know?
Okay. Yeah,
so, like, she started with wholesome quiet, and then she got wholesome loud, and then she just went her own way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I sometimes bring that up with her, like her early days. She'd be like, "Hi guys, welcome to the stream. It's nice to see you." She'd be like, "Fucking motherfucker, suck my cock, bitch!" And it's like, whoa. It's amazing though. Like it's whatever works for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, there's a personality for everyone out there. You just got to find it. Like, I know some people that they only watch smaller people, and some people that only watch bigger people, right? They don't care about the community thing. They just want to be entertained. And then there's other people who just want the community aspect. And then there's the mid people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting balance. Like, how do you, I guess that's a question for you, like streamer to streamer. How do you deal with the people who come and go? Like, like mentally, how do you process that?
So it can be weird. I think a lot of people that I want to say I'm very bad at this. It's not a bad thing to do, but I get very close to a lot of people. And so usually I just end up gaming with them offline or just keeping tabs in DMs like, hey, what's up, man? But actually like Stro, I was thinking about her a few days ago, man, I miss her. And it can be hard, but I also realize it's life. Sometimes that you lose people. It is what it is. But hopefully, like, you always hold out hope, like, maybe we'll talk again, you know? It's never the end.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's something I struggle with because I think we're kind of cut from the same cloth in that respect. And like, you know, you get really close with people and you get friendly with them. You play games with them off stream and you exchange private messages. Just, you know, hey, I had an awesome burger for lunch today. How was your day? Kind of thing. And then all of a sudden it's just gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, what did I do? What did I say? And you're like, oh no, what did I? But I think that's just the life and nature of Twitch and content creation. And you mentioned earlier the people who want to be there when you're small fry, so to speak. And if you grow, that people seem to leave then, and that's okay. It's just the way it is.
And sometimes they'll peek in or just lurk or whatnot and support there, and they might not be active in chat. I think I honestly don't know who my founders are. Like, I know one of my friends is a founder, and I honestly don't know who the rest are.
Wow,
you got a lot of founders in your community.
I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah.
You're one of my founders.
Yeah.
Poppy's a founder. My buddy Mike,
one, right?
My buddy Mike's a founder. Shop's a founder. Yeah. So
I wish there was one guy to check just so I could look at the names and be like, oh, that's who it is.
Yeah. There's one guy I'm blanking out on. We haven't seen him in a while, but he'd be in every now and again. So I'm aware of like 5 of them.
Yeah.
I think I know the other 5, but haven't had contact with them basically since I became affiliate.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it is what it is.
And there's sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, if I notice someone's a new affiliate, I'll be like, I'm scooping that founder badge.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you see this Prime sub? Give me that badge.
I think we both did that for Stropoke,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah. We're
Yeah.
both founders for her, and I think
Yeah.
I was talking to Dino when he got affiliate. I'm like, I want that founders badge, and he's like, well, you
Yeah.
still got a few of them available. I'm like, I'm getting that founders badge right now.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. And that's what I really love about this space that we've created. Like, end of the day, the people who come and go, or like any falling out I've had with people, like it's all been worth it because of the friendships we've made and like the memories we have,
And even the lessons you learn as well.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I really appreciate that, and all the stuff we do between streams, and that's some of the good stuff. I guess on that topic, what do you like to do off stream to kind of build your brand or build the community?
So I'm testing the waters with a lot of things. Obviously, like I haven't made it anywhere yet, so I'm still learning what works and what doesn't work. But I've noticed like there's a few things on YouTube that get some traction. Like again, with the whole sharing Dead by Daylight information and just wanting to teach others. I made a Huntress guide a while ago, and it's still getting traction to this day. And it's like I'll get comments that's like someone asks a question, and I'll give them a 3-paragraph response. Like, hey, I hope this helps, right?
Yeah.
And I still get stuff there. So I want to, like, ideally the dream is I want to be able to do this full time. And I know it's not like financially stable per se, like other jobs are like you work these hours, you get a paycheck, you're good to go, right?
Yeah.
But this one, I love the challenge. I really enjoy editing. I really enjoy the community aspect. So like, I don't know if that would ever get old. Like I could maybe get bored of certain editing styles,
Right.
But there's always new things you can try with editing. And then if you run out of ideas, maybe it's time to try a different format of videos, right?
Yeah.
So in my free time, I would like to, when I have free time, I like to either work on editing and planning video ideas or stuff like that, or just engaging with the community. Because in the end, like they're not viewers, they're friends to me. They're people, right? So I want to spend time with them off camera, not just be like, hey, you want to be on the stream? Oh, hey, it's blah, blah, blah. Hey, nice to see you again, right?
Yeah.
I find like the best connections are made when you stay up 5 a.m. in the morning and you're just chatting while listening to music.
Oh, yeah.
And you have moments like that. And then like there's some people where they're maybe not that comfortable yet, but you host movie nights or you just chill in a random voice call and see who trickles in. Just stuff like that I like doing offline. But for brand building stuff, it's definitely videos and whatnot.
Right on. Now, speaking of community, I'm sure every single one of them's listening right now. What do you want to say to them on this podcast?
Make sure to share it and watch all the podcasts to the duration, and be sure to like it. And I don't watch too many podcasts, so I don't know what you can do to support them. But make sure you definitely represent the Crow here on the podcast, and be sure to sub with Twitch Prime.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the best way to support the podcast is just to listen all the way through, just like YouTube, TikTok, anything with an algorithm, and interact with it as much as you can. Like hit the share button, share it with your grandma, share it with your uncle, your coworkers, and share it with your cat. Put some earbuds on your cat, make your cat listen to the show. But yeah, no, I also just wanted to say to your community, because we kind of have shared communities at this point. I just love and appreciate all of you so much for being on this journey with us. Like it's been amazing the last couple of years, just getting to know people, playing games, sharing these fun memories. Cause like Twitch is just so much more than gaming. And I think you kind of touched on that when you were talking about what it's like to tell an outsider what Twitch is all about. And they're like, what, you watch people play video games? It's like, oh, it's so much more than that,
exactly, right? But yeah. In a nutshell, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, boil it down. That's what it is, but it's more than that.
I think like, I have this certain sarcastic sort of I don't know how to describe it, but I usually don't like getting like fluffy emotional. But I will say, like on here, I like, especially when I have people in there every single day, they're spending all this time with me, they're supporting me for whatever reason, whether they're entertained, whether they just like me as a person, whether they want to support the content. It blows my mind that like you look over and you're like, oh my gosh, there's 20 individual, there's 30 individuals, whatever the number may be. They're taking time out of their day to watch me, and it's so humbling, and it's kind of weird and surprising to me. It's like me, come on, someone odds, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's super humbling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's cool because like you think about it, you're like, could that many people even fit into my room with me right now? But here we are, right? Like I always think about the physical aspect of it.
There was one time when I was younger and I made like a video that got like, I don't know, like 300 views or something. This is in elementary school. And at one point someone was like, oh yeah, the assembly, the gym can fit an assembly with like 250 people. And I was like, I was looking around one assembly, I'm like 150. And I was thinking like, okay, well, if that many watched the video, how many people would that be in the assembly?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. My brother talked about that all the time with Summit because he was the first streamer I ever watched. He's like, that many people watching Summit play PUBG could fill like a hockey arena, football stadium. It's crazy.
I like it sometimes when I'm like talking to some friends at work. They're like, I had to stream it. I was like, yeah, pretty good. It's like, how many views you get? I'm like, I'll tell them how many views I get, but I don't really like describing by views. I like describing streams by interactions and the amount of content, right?
Yeah.
And so like if I have 5 people in there that are constantly talking, that's better than 20 silent people. The 20 people that are there, bless their hearts, I'm happy they're there, but I still just value the interaction so much more. And like describing it to, again, the people that don't know, how many people watch you? 20 on a good day, give or take, whatever it is. 20 people. Okay, cool. Like just that number, they don't know what that means. But if you like watch a bunch of people on Twitch, you go, okay, 20 is actually not bad. Like that's a nice little community there.
It's pretty huge because like most people stream to nobody. Like the numbers, like I forgot how the numbers go, but if you have 10 viewers average, you're like in the top 1% of Twitch, which is just mind blowing to me. And it's so crazy.
I think it's just so many people like they either just do it for fun or they don't think of the business side of it. They only think of the game side of it. Yeah. And I think if you want to grow, you also have to look at content creation from a business, more non-biased viewpoint. Like sometimes I'll get very like, okay, what if someone joins my stream today, what keeps them, right? Why should they watch me? Now let me provide them something that gives them a reason to watch me. And then once I got them hooked, that's when I really like get all the claws in and pull them in as a friend, But I think a lot of people who stream in general, just they don't think of that side of it, or they think that their equipment is the most important part when it's sometimes just the interactions, right?
Oh, totally.
You look at learn this the hard way when when you just talk and then the stream starts to die out, like chat slows down, and then you start to slow down accordingly. Anyone who joins during that period is most likely not going to stay. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. When I think about equipment, I always think of Tyler One. He uses like a $60 headset and a headset mic for his mic, and
I wish,
sounds like shit.
Please, you can afford it.
And he's one of the most popular streamers. It's crazy. Greek God X does that too. He has like headset mic. But he's fucking killing it.
I think XQC also had a bad one for a while too.
Yeah, he did for the longest time. But yeah, I guess that's good advice for people who are either new to streaming, thinking about streaming. Equipment is ironically not the thing you should be chasing. Like
there's a certain standard you got to get up to, like more than 3 frames per second and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the person behind the camera is 9 times out of 10 more important than the actual camera itself.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And good lighting, whether you get a lamp or something, you better be well lit.
The darkness was their ally.
Exactly. Yeah. The funny thing is you helped me with my lighting in my early days. I was like, this light's too bright. I mean, you're like, bounce it off the wall. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, let's do that.
And with the pop filter too.
Oh yeah. I've got a with my old mic. I didn't have a pop filter, and I installed it, got it all set up. I was so excited, and I was like, oh shit, I don't have a pop filter now. The pop filter is what reduces your plosives, your P's and T sounds for anybody listening. And in the stream, there's a clip of it in my videos where Pickle's like, just put a sock over top of it. And I was like, oh, dude, for real? And I was like, okay. I went and put a sock over my mic, and it worked.
You were talking about how you need to buy one. I'm like, no, just flip a fuzzy sock inside out. It works just as well.
Yeah. And so, long story short, the sock is very much a part of my history in streaming. It's actually hanging behind me still, and Pickle actually owns it.
That is my property there.
It is. What did you say?
Oh man,
I think you're like, how many bits to buy the sock or something?
Yeah, and you're like 100 or something low. And I was like, oh, easy, it's done.
It's so dumb. And I even offered to mail it to you.
Yeah, you were like, do you want me to mail it? I'm like, no.
It's almost like an NFT at this point.
that would be funny if like down the road, if I have like my own like little streamer room that have that displayed in the background just as a little antique. But I'm like, yeah, he can keep it for his background for now.
Yeah,
I'll cash in on it one day.
It's hilarious. Yeah. So if you're ever in my stream, you see a sock in the background. That's what we're talking about. It was
the history.
Once upon a time.
You can say to chat that I know the history of that sock.
Yeah. And it was over my mic, and I once upon a time accepted a raid from Josh OG when there was like 6,000 people asking, is that a sock on your mic? It's so embarrassing, man. That's actually how I met Fire for Effect. He came in on that raid, and
man,
he said, if you replace the sock, I leave forever. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I gotta keep it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like I don't mind helping people set up OBS as well. I do that a lot on the side too, and it's just I've had to like watch YouTube videos for hours just to learn how to do one thing, and then when I finally learn it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like a wizard. And then other people are like, oh man, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, I got you. Like tonight, 6 o'clock, you free? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to be aware of the time because I know you're doing a movie night tonight, right?
Yeah. Well, we still got 12 minutes.
Well, yeah, I want to get.
I definitely don't want to make the podcast too long.
Give you a chance to get set up and mentally, physically prepared
for Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's a fun movie. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, I saw it on the list. I was like, what should we want? Oh, that's a good idea.
Nice. But I guess before we close things off, you should tell people where they can find you online.
Ooh, I think it is for YouTube. It's just Picklesoup. I'm fortunate enough to not have any weird numbers in my name. And then, the Twitch is the exact same thing. Just twitch.tv/Picklesoup. If you ever go to my channel and you want to see when I'm streaming next or ask me anything personally, you can go to my Twitch and I have a Discord link in the panels below. I think it's the easiest way to get into the server. Yeah. And feel free to ask anything there. If you have Dead by Daylight questions, I really don't mind asking or answering. You can DM me or just post it in the Dead by Daylight channel. I really don't.
Cool.
Or on stream, anything works.
Right on. Yeah, and if you could DM me that video.
Oh, the Seraph one? Yeah.
The one, send me that. And if it's somewhere I can post a link, I can include that in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for doing this, Pickle. I'm really excited for the podcast and the future of where it goes, and definitely happy to capture this piece of history because, without you, this probably wouldn't be happening right now. So,
man, I will say I'm very excited to see where this podcast goes, and I'm actually very optimistic in it.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of super stoked that I was hoping to be the first interview, but Elix beat me to it. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And you went away too during that week.
I went on vacation and then I come back. You're like, I did one with the Elix. I'm like, that was fast.
Yeah. I heard back from one person I contacted, and it was actually their manager who got back to me.
Oh, wow.
And said, we're not available right now, but maybe in the future. So
maybe we'll have that for one day. We'll have managers.
Right? That'd be cool. But yeah, thanks for doing this, man. And thanks for all the games. Thanks for all the memories. And I look forward to more games in the future.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
Peace.
So that about wraps it up. That was a really, really fun talk. Big thanks to Picklesoup for having this conversation with me. We originally planned to have Pickle on first, but Pickle went away as we had a conversation. He went away on vacation the week I launched this podcast. So big thanks to Pickle for making time for the podcast. I really hope you enjoyed the conversation we had. I look forward to doing more of these conversations with Dead by Daylight content creators. I have some in the works, so stay tuned. I'm still not sure if it'll be a weekly thing, but I definitely would love if we can turn that into a weekly thing where each week I post a conversation with a content creator for Dead by Daylight. And again, if you have any requests, suggestions, poke your favorite Dead by Daylight content creator, put Red Rank Podcast on their radar, maybe encourage them to come have a chat with The Crow Show. I would love that very much. But if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the fog.